All right, guys, so another day. I decided to start throwing some stuff in here. I got to take those to the truck, but everything kind of cleaned out in here. So you can see we're gonna start building the wall in there. Tomorrow we have, well, the oil cooler's coming tonight, but tomorrow I am going to, all of the stuff that is in here, if not tomorrow, then Friday, we're gonna start moving this stuff over into the truck and then taking whatever is in that to the shop. Whatever's left that we don't need to be putting in the camper, but the reason we're gonna be doing that is because they both need to get sold if you didn't follow yesterday's video. So box truck 4L80E. All right, so since there really isn't very many videos on YouTube about the oil cooler for a 5.9, I'm gonna go ahead and make one for you guys, because if you guys can't tell, milky, coolanty, and milky. Look at that. So that's what we're gonna do now, and hope it's the oil cooler. I noticed earlier when I was cleaning this off, there was some red on here. The head gasket is red, like the little dots and shit, but I realized the gasket I put in is also red. So hopefully it's the oil cooler. Here's the big chunk I pulled off of the dipstick earlier. So I'm gonna get this drained and hope it's an easy job, because I just did Josh's the other week. It took literally an hour to do. Yeah, the coolant's gonna come out first, so it's green. Let's see, there's what my coolant looks like. So the way that I'm gonna do this is I took the intake tube off. I'm gonna get the filter out right here. I'm gonna get this guy out of the way. I should be able to access all the bolts without taking the alternator off. So I really don't wanna take the alternator off. This sensor and this, I'm gonna pull those out and get the oil filter out of the way, because you will need to take this bunch of that stuff off. But the oil in the filter still looks pretty good, so I'm gonna leave this alone. Set it somewhere where it's not gonna fall over, and I'll just drain whatever's in the bottom, because all the water should be at the bottom. Coolant first, and the oil will be on top, I guess, is what it's looking like. So get that drained, and I'll start pulling bolts out a while. You know, you can take all this stuff and the alternator off to make your life easier. I'm not gonna do that. All right, that one's a 19. This one on the top, 16 generally. Well, I guess most guys aren't doing this with a 12 valve with an HE351, but that's just what it is on mine. You have to get that one out. I am gonna have to take this one out, so that way I might not have to, but you get the point. I'd take all that stuff out so you can get in there. I'm really wondering if the reason it failed is because I painted it blue. It might be one of the gasket surfaces or some shit, so I'm gonna make sure that we take care of that and just replace everything, clean off any of the paint, and hope that that's what it is, because it didn't leak before. So I'm gonna assume that paint is probably what the issue is. But all right, so we got all the bolts. It's getting dark outside, so we just have the middle one in there, and I don't see anything actually leaking. So let's I might have got all the coolant out. There we go. Getting some milkiness out of there. There we go. I'll let that drain. Yep. So this is exactly what the material looked like on the dipstick. So that tells me, I'm pretty sure that it's just an oil cooler. Like, this stuff's coming off. Yeah, this is what was on the dipstick tube. So I'm gonna get this guy cleaned off, because looks like that wasn't the issue. It was this into the engine. So I'm gonna try to get that all cleaned off. We have a new, all this stuff is new minus this. So we didn't have any issues with this. This is fine. All right, so I know it's a little dark, but I'm gonna try to show you guys what I wanted to see when somebody was doing this and nobody did and got like a close-up and stuff. So the issue that I'm having, obviously you can see the coolant side, and then, you know, the oil passages from this to this guy over here. There's what we're looking at. Okay, So this is the gasket in between. This is the one that goes and sandwiches up against the engine. So this will go on the inside of the engine here. That side right there. That's where this guy will come in. So this is a much better gasket from what I understand than basically this. This is just a cheap Felpro looking. Yeah, that's bad. So that explains where our issues are coming from. Hopefully it's that simple, but these are O-ringed all the way around. Separate the coolant and the oil. And this gasket will sit just like that. You'll see oil goes through and through. So oil will go through the cooler. Coolant's on the other side, going through the middle. And there you have it. Super simple, right? A cheap gasket can really fuck this whole thing up. So hopefully no more issues. The truck, like I said, it runs physically great. Yeah, just a cheap gasket set, I guess. Now you gotta make sure you clean that surface out. I stuck some rags in there so that I could keep it from coming back down onto it while I go prep the surfaces, because I'm gonna want to get two of the bolts tight in the meantime before any of that comes back down and ruins a gasket. Alright, I know it's dark, but I got the middle hole in and then this one here, so this is how we're gonna do it. Make sure they're all lined up and just cram it down in there. Grab them rags out as fast as possible. Alright, so I went and got the Freon so that we're gonna be doing the AC today. As you guys saw, we did the oil cooler last night, so we're just gonna be working the kinks out of it. I'm gonna try to get this thing as dead reliable as possible. So I am gonna be working it next week. Well, I don't think she's happy. I'm gonna risk shit for you guys. Oh yeah. Pretty bad. Oh, it's coming out of here too. I think I might just end up parting this thing out, to be honest. Yeah. Whew, that burns. Whew. Yeah, I don't know. I might end up just parting this thing out, to be honest. That's 570,000 miles. I think it's time to retire this piece of shit. Well, I'm trying to get all the, it's all pressurized in the radiator. What? It's a mechanical fan. No, the fan's here. It only spins when the engine's running. Trying to get some pressure out of the radiator. She's still boiling. By the way, if you don't have one of these caps, they're a lifesaver, especially for shit like this. Nope. It got quiet for a second. Yeah, it's scary. All right. Like a sludgy volcano. So They seem to just think that possibly we just, you know, I didn't clean out the cooling system since this happened, so that's probably why we're having this issue. And we're gonna get about ready and start flushing this thing out up on the hill. Here she is. Pretty gnarly. So hopefully it's just as simple as flushing it out and then no more fluid inside the dipstick. That'll be nice. Here's the issue. Look at all that. Just gotta clean all that shit out, hopefully. Hopefully it cleans out pretty easily, and that was the only issue. Okay, so good news. I just went to dump the oil pan just to check, and nothing but oil came out, so that is good. There is no more coolant in the oil. Unfortunately, enough got in here that this is a pain in the ass. So I've already started clearing it out. You can see, like, it's just a turd. So anybody that says oil and coolant don't mix, fuck those people. And the science teachers that tell us that oil and coolant definitely mix. We're getting the whole thing cleaned out. We're just gonna do it all in one shot. Hopefully, we'll see about the oil, the heater core at some point, but there you go, all that shit's coming out. Now we're getting everything up. So I wanted to go over with you guys something, because I mean, I get the comment a little bit more, and I never understood where it come from. So I got the other day I was reading the comments, and someone said about how I'm in the public eye and I should take it a little bit more seriously, and you know, it's kind of disappointing that with a failed business and shit. And I never understood where it really came from, because I mean, my business did do $98,000 this year, so nothing crazy. Now unfortunately, I will admit that I don't have the credit to back it up to say, hey, let me just go buy a new truck, let me go buy a new trailer. I don't have that credit like I used to. I have the income, but I don't have the credit to back it up. So anything I buy does kind of have to be cash until I can get everything taken care of. Now, having shitty equipment, that really doesn't, you know, show how a business does. Because I mean, I did like this truck for the longest time. I did want to keep it going, but I'm at the point where it's like, you know, it has 570,000 miles. Let's see if I can't get rid of it and just go, you know, find something else newer, nicer. You know, I can afford, you know, the fuel in it. And it's like, it is just nice having the low overhead. On top of all that, you know, having 3 kids and a fiance that all depend on me, you know, we only have that one income. So I never understood where that comment of a failed business came in. I've been in business for, I've been doing hot shop for 4 years, even though going back with different companies, just depending on what situations. I had my own authority. I have my own DOT number now. But it's just one of those. For the guy, it definitely makes it hard to take this seriously, but we still do have a pretty decent customer base, and money's always coming in. Let's just put it that way. Money is always coming in from all directions. It doesn't matter if I need to come up with a decent amount of money in a little amount of time. For the guys that get offended with my humor that I've been having, kind of doing some troll posts here and there, you know, I'm not really worried about losing followers or losing subscribers for anything like that. The guys that are genuine and know me as a person, those are the guys I like sticking around. So feel free, the guys that want to hate and say that we're failing or whatnot, you know, it sucks having something like this, but at the end of the day, at least I can fix it. It sucks, it's dirty, it's messy. I hate doing it anymore. Back when YouTube views were like what we're paying the bills, but now I don't rely on YouTube. Like, I think my check this month was like 650 bucks from YouTube. So back when they were paying like 3 to 4 grand a month and I was doing hot shot, you know, I also get, like, my income isn't as high as I wanted it to be this year, but at 27, you know, and I have this thing, which this thing has been nickel and diming me for a little while. You know, we just did the engine and shit, but that gasket that was put in it, that gasket was, I guess, cheap or just not, wasn't a really good gasket apparently. I was looking up the reviews and it seemed like they were okay, but it was just not. So we went and grabbed a new gasket, verified the problem's fixed. I drained the oil this morning. It's all oil. There's no coolant in there anymore. So I'm going to go get a fresh filter, fresh oil change, and we'll call it at that. Like I was saying, if I had the credit, I would just go out and buy the 2012 2-wheel drive quad cab dually that I really want. But unfortunately, I have to pay it in cash. So that means that I am definitely limited and I have to make sacrifices. Because I know the 12s, a lot of them, they come with leather. I really want a bighorn. That's always been the style that I like. Because this truck, when I bought it, was a Laramie. But I've since swapped in the bighorn interior. So we get power seats. We still have the charger plug in here and just all that stuff. So I would like to, you know, go with that with a new one. But as I was saying, just financially, that's a lot of money to spend. in cash, you know, if I could finance it like most of you guys. But I am working on the credit. We'll get the credit fixed, just slowly and surely coming back up. I used to have perfect credit back in the day. I think I racked up like 50 grand in, you know, I had my silver truck, I had my 06, I had this, and then we had the 2012, my little 4500 picker. That thing was great. Had a Freightliner, an International, three Ram rollbacks in there. Yeah, so it was like 9 trucks and a big 40-foot trailer. So it's just at the point where you got to keep making changes as things go on. Every quarter of the year, it's always different. So just be prepared. Otherwise, I mean, I see a lot of guys out here going out of business, especially right now. I mean, I've talked to quite a few guys that have closed their doors down, and it's like they were doing really good a couple months ago, and now it's just like there's not any money in it. But I mean, I haven't been running Hot Shop much either. I did spend quite a few dollars on this thing. I spent $11,000 when we had to go through and get it all fixed. But what really screwed up my credit and being able to pay stuff is because I had to pay $40,000 in a very short amount of time for something that completely got expunged, but I had to fight it to the bitter end. And at the end of the day, I win. It's done and over with. I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's expunged, not on my record, and that's good. It's just one of those. I know Whistling Diesel's going through some shit right now, and Street Speed 717, he went through some shit too. I think the state fined him like $50,000 or some shit like that. And that's crazy. So, but for me, a guy who has to take care of 3 kids, to be able to come up with that, for the guys that are concerned, or I'm in the public eye, I should take it seriously, this and that, I really don't care. At the end of the day, the bills are paid. Constructive criticism is nice, but saying you're disappointed in somebody, I really don't care at this point. Kids and family are taken care of. So I'm gonna get this whole thing swept out, all done, cleaned it up, and then we're gonna drive it. We're gonna get the AC charged, and then this thing should be 100%, and then I'm gonna drive it around. Like I said, I got a long distance trip to make Monday and a long distance trip to make Tuesday. So we'll run it, and I'll have AC. So still for sale. Like I was saying, I posted it for 15 or best offer. Make an offer, I don't care. If not, if it doesn't sell within the next 2 months, I'm just gonna end up parting it out, honestly, which I feel is the best way, because I know I could get 10 grand, because I parted out my white truck and I got damn near that. All right, next day, just waiting on my fiance to bring, just waiting on my fiance to bring some oil. We don't have anything in the shop. Everything is done out, besides Josh's. So we're gonna be doing some 4K springs on this, I guess. But just waiting on oil for this. So then, and I have a filter, and then we're gonna flush everything out this morning. I finally went and got a petcock because I lost the one yesterday. So if you guys are wondering, here's a set of valve springs, or governor springs, sorry. You have your big spring, you have a little spring right here, ignore that one, and you have the base. This right here will allow you to rev to 3,000 or 3,200 RPMs without restriction, unlike the factory springs. Then you can throw this little spring in the middle, and now you can rev to 4,200 RPMs because of that the middle spring. Most guys choose to leave that little middle spring out. Josh chose to leave it out. I told him to leave it out. So he went and spent the $20, $25 on Amazon to buy another set to say, hey, let's throw those in. He wants to rev this thing now that he has valve springs and all that shit. I have 4Ks in that. So that'll rev to 4,200 RPM unrestricted. So,
but you only have 60-pound valve springs.
I have 60-pound valve springs in the exhaust and factory valve springs in the intake side.
I forget what these are, but they're good to 4,200. And then I don't know what everything else is good to.
So when Josh comes to me in a couple months saying, hey, I spun a rod.
Or today.
I'm gonna give him that stipulation. I'm gonna let him know that it was not my fault. And now we need to get a motor.
I would be kind of pissed because with how much you abuse that, and I actually run good quality oil.
It goes to show you that good, yeah, this thing, you said what, $8,500 in parts, labor, and all, like,
yeah, but like,
I mean, you bought a head, you bought...
This head was like $1,600 before shipping. Like, I bought a good fucking head.
I like good fucking head. All right, so you got to do this on both sides, but I got the top hat and that off, so we're doing right down in there. And like I said, all we're doing is adding this spring because he's already got 3Ks in there. So we're just adding one, the little small one in the middle, to make it a 4K because he's crazy and he wants to spin some bearings. So you got to be super careful doing this. Make sure you don't drop anything in the pump, or you will be pulling a pump and they're not exactly the most fun. Oh shit, I dropped it. His face, because he knows if we drop anything, we're fucked. So I can't really do this on camera. I'll plop this sumbitch in there. I generally recommend a magnet and a tool, so that's how we're gonna do it. I've been putting that in the middle. I'll do this here. So usually use a tool just like that, that way it can't fall in the pump. So I got the oil change done, coolant is in, I got the flush in there, but we can't get it started. I put batteries on it. The starter will not crank at all. Everything's tight, everything's all right, but it won't crank. It's at plenty of voltage. I'll show you guys what we're dealing with. I did try to get a new one from Napa before, but they wouldn't warranty it. See what I mean? Just keeps doing that. So that should be our last step. We get it started, we bleed the stuff through. I need to get some filters for it. Then next week we're going to be running it. Monday I got to go out to Johnstown. Tuesday we're going to go pick up some campers from Newport. I know if you guys like junk, we're going to be picking up more junk. And then we're going to try to find some transport work next week and the following week to kind of recoup a little bit of the cash in the main account. And we'll go from there. I haven't scheduled anything in the shop. I kind of like pushed everything back thinking we're going to get on the road just to work it for a little bit, get it reliable, test it out, make sure it's going to be good for somebody, and just go from there. Because I just got all the motor put back together. I want to make sure that whoever does buy the truck is going to get a truck that just runs and drives. So, and hopefully they don't work it as hard as I do, because, well, that's why it is like it is. All right, so I went and got a starter. We're gonna get this thing thrown in, and then hopefully we're done good, you know, whatever. But that's all we gotta do yet. Throw the starter in it, get this thing running, flush the system out, let it run for a while. I'll probably drive it for a little bit with it like that. There's a lot of air pockets in this bitch. We got her running. I just gotta let it bleed out for a little while. She stinks, but I'm gonna let it get up to temp. So it's not adding any more oil to, or coolant to the oil, and vice versa. So we're just getting all the bubbles out and shit, just letting it bubble over. So it's a good sign. It's cleaning itself out. I'll go grab more of that stuff. No oil leaks. I looked under the truck. All right, so at this point, it's not even like I need to sell my equipment, because I got this comment too. I don't need to sell my equipment to go get other equipment, per se. I do not have the credit to back it up. I know I mentioned that in the beginning of this video, but here's the problem I'm having is, like, I physically don't want this truck anymore. Like, I'm at the point, yes, I've driven this truck for 5 years now. I bought it at 314,000 miles. It has almost 600,000 on it. So I've put, you know, about 260,000 miles on it, you know, myself, and I'm just tired of it. So I appreciate all you guys that commented before on, I made a couple of posts trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way with the credit. Been busy all day, so I haven't gotten around to anybody yet as of Friday. So I will be going through probably Monday and seeing what I can do to figure all this out. At the end of the day, if I deem it necessary, I might end up just parting this truck out, to be honest. Because it's at the point where unless I can get at least 10 grand for this thing, it's not worth it for me to sell it. Because if I sell it for less than, I would say, 11.5, then it's not, it just isn't worth it to me. But at the same time, I don't want someone to get a piece of shit either. So we're on that boat. Like, everything's new. The only thing is we were having issues with the oil cooler. I'm fighting getting everything bled out. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. So at this very moment, 11.5 is what I'm trying to get for the truck. Firm. I will not take a dime less than that. If I do not get that asking price, I'll just part it out. And I won't feel bad either, because seriously, this truck has put me through hell. I know I said I was going to torture test the motor. That doesn't mean I was going to torture test the truck. The motor itself is what I wanted to torture test. I proved that 12 valves are really the ultimate diesel if you're a person that neglects the shit out of your equipment. High EGTs, high coolant temp, it's done everything. It never mixed the coolant and oil. I realized what happened and why it happened. You look at the old gasket, it was just, it came apart, it did. And I found pieces of that gasket on the dipstick. So it was nothing that I personally did in this case, other than just using a cheap gasket. So it came in a set. I bought a whole set of gaskets and shit, but it is what it is. We all make mistakes. I'll own up to that one. Maybe I didn't use the best quality part for that gasket. I didn't know. I didn't realize, but now you do. So lesson learned. It's causing me a headache. It is what it is, but appreciate you guys watching and taking this shit seriously. I have done so much with a business without having credit. I really need to get my credit together, and honestly, it's going to be a great weapon and a great asset to have credit. Because the first time we built a business up, we grew too fast, and I realized the mistakes I made. I would love to go at it with this business and ultimately build what I want to build, learning from my lessons that I had to learn from before, unfortunately, but now we can do it right. So there he is. We need a truck, we need a trailer, and we need a shop. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Later.